The city is in the process of planning improvements for the intersection of George Washington Way, Aaron Drive, and Columbia Point Drive. This is the large intersection next to the golf course in Winco. More than 42,000 vehicles travel on George Washington Way each day, and this intersection is the bottleneck from which all of the congestion on George Washington Way begins. The project's goals are to plan improvements that will minimize congestion, increase pedestrian safety, and decrease traffic accidents, taking into account both current traffic volumes and future traffic growth.
Essentially, we have three alternatives. The first one being we always have to look at a no-build alternative. So to compare the other alternatives against to see is it even worth doing it. The second alternative is to add lanes to George Washington Way and just make the existing intersection that's there bigger. So essentially you'd have to add 3 lanes to George Washington Way, and you would add a lane, at least 1 or 2 lanes to the Aaron Drive side of the intersection as well. The second main alternative is what's called a split T concept. So what we would do is we would close off the existing Aaron Way side of the existing intersection. And so it would just be a T intersection at that point with the Winco and Columbia Point side. Then we would construct a new intersection about 500 feet to the south that would connect eventually to Aaron Way. And that's where we have 2 kind of concepts now on how we would make that connection. One would be to build a new roadway down the existing shelter belt that would tie into Jadwin. That's one option. The second option would be to kind of take what's there now as far as how the Aaron Way connection is made physically and move that down to that new intersection. Another interesting aspect to this project that we're trying to do, and it would be in all of the alternatives, would be potentially to do a pedestrian undercrossing of George Washington Way. That's a big intersection now, it's busy, people do cross there, but if we could get pedestrians out of that roadway altogether and give them a place to cross without having to deal with traffic, we think that would be a big improvement. Another aspect of the project that would be really required for the split T version, but it wouldn't necessarily be required for just making the existing intersection bigger, would be to realign all those ramps that tie into George Washington Way there to slow the speeds down as you're coming into town, because right now there's a lot of speed differential. You're trying to get to 35 miles an hour. Some people are, some people aren't. Trying to make that left turn onto Aaron and cross over through that traffic makes it difficult. So if we can get everybody slowed down to 35 miles an hour when they're making those decisions, that should improve safety as well. We've done some modeling of the traffic through there, and one of the things, and we look at a couple of different things. One is called level of service, which is kind of measures how much delay you run into at each intersection. The current intersection fails. I mean, it's got a lot of delay today as well as in the design year. The 2 alternatives that we have really both function from a traffic standpoint similarly, and they essentially cut the delay in half.
A public outreach process is planned for the middle of 2015 in which public input will be sought on the options. Of course, you can always voice your public comments on this project or any at a City Council meeting. Remember, the meetings are held the 1st and 3rd Tuesday of each month at 7:30 at Richland City Hall.
And after the public outreach process, city staff will present the technical evaluations and all the public input to City Council for selection of a preferred alternative. Feel free to email Jeff Peters at the email right there at the bottom of your screen with any of your comments, or if you would like more information on the George Washington Way South project, give Jeff a holler about that as well.